Usually, when we think about getting help at a major life crossroads, there's this deeply ingrained expectation of a rescue.
Right, like someone swooping in to save the day.
Exactly. Picture being stranded on the side of the highway, right? You've got a blown tire, it's pouring rain. You call for help, and a tow truck arrives. It hooks up your car and literally just hauls you to safety.
You don't have to do anything.
Yeah, you just sit in the passenger seat with the heater blasting and let someone else navigate the storm. And honestly, it's incredibly comforting.
Oh, for sure.
But the thing is, we kind of carry that exact expectation into our personal growth. We look for mentors who will, take the wheel when things get tough.
But when you step into the realm of true life direction,
Hmm.
I mean, that tow truck just vanishes.
It's gone.
Right. We're looking at a landscape of mentorship today that demands something completely different from you. The expectation of being carried is, well, it's a profound misunderstanding of what a true guide actually does.
Right, because a real guide doesn't just do the work for you.
Exactly. A real guide does not relieve you of the responsibility of walking the path. And that fundamental distinction is really the driving force behind the material we are unpacking today.
So welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at a highly thought-provoking piece of source material. We've got an English translation of a 2006 personal essay by Daeform Buddha, and it's titled Speaking Honestly About Life. Life Needs Guides.
It's a fascinating read.
It really is. And the mission for our deep dive today is to explore the stark contrast between the everyday guides who shape our daily existence and, the massive historical luminaries we read about in textbooks.
Right.
Because for anyone listening right now who feels stuck in a career or who loves learning or who's just trying to navigate a complex personal transition, this text offers a radically different framework for finding direction.
It definitely shakes up the traditional idea of mentorship.
Oh, totally. We're going to unpack how a few seemingly casual words from everyday people, people you might literally just bump into on a Tuesday afternoon, can completely rewrite the trajectory of your life.
And what's interesting is how the author establishes the philosophical baseline of this text right away. He draws this very deliberate boundary.
Right.
He acknowledges the existence of what he calls the greatest guides in human history. So he's talking about figures like Jesus, Sakyamuni, Muhammad, and Laozi.
The heavy hitters.
Exactly, the monumental figures of civilization. But then he immediately pivots away from the abstract and the ancient. The focus shifts entirely to the guides we encounter in the, mundane realities of our own lives.
The normal people.
Right. The seemingly ordinary individuals who just happen to possess the exact insight required to illuminate a critical turning point that we can't see past on our own.
Yeah, so to understand the mechanics of how these everyday guides actually operate, we really have to look at the very beginning of the author's narrative.
We get to see where it all starts.
Exactly. We see how a single, almost throwaway piece of advice acts as this massive catalyst. So the author introduces us to his first guide, a guy named Guo Xinjian.
He was the principal of Jiquan Education College, right?
Yeah, he was. And the wild thing is, this wasn't some formal mentorship program. There was no scheduled meeting in a fancy mahogany office.
No, it was literally just a chance encounter on the road.
Exactly, out on the road. And during this super brief interaction, Guo Xinjin delivers this hyper-specific piece of advice. He tells the author, never stay long in a place that doesn't align with your ideals.
That's a bold statement.
It really is. Okay, let's unpack this, because the author describes that single sentence as a lighthouse. And if you think about it, a lighthouse is a passive but vital tool.
Right, doesn't pull a ship into the harbor.
Exactly. It just stands there amidst the darkness and the fog, shining a light to reveal where the jagged rocks are hidden and, where the safe passage might be.
But the ship's captain still has to actively steer the vessel. They have to fight the currents and actually navigate the waters.
Right. So the implication there is that the mentor provides the visibility, like handing you a flashlight in a dark forest, but you still have to do the heavy lifting of walking.
You have to do the work.
But I do have to push back on the core philosophy of that advice, though.
Okay, let's hear it.
Never stay long in a place that doesn't align with your ideals. If we apply that literally, doesn't it run the risk of making someone perpetually dissatisfied?
Oh, I see what you mean.
It sounds like a recipe for a generation of people quitting their jobs, ending relationships, and just moving cities every 6 months because they encountered, some minor friction that didn't perfectly match their utopian ideal.
Well, that critique touches on a very common misinterpretation of this kind of advice.
Okay, how so?
If we look closely at how the author applies this principle, he is not advocating for a life devoid of friction or hard work. It's not about running away when things get tough.
Right.
He views this as a necessary refusal to settle for a fundamental misalignment of values. I mean, there is a massive psychological difference between an environment that is momentarily frustrating because the work is difficult and an environment that actively erodes your core principles.
Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, when you're in a situation that demands you compromise your integrity
Right.
or, stifles your genuine nature, the friction isn't temporary. It's structural.
Structural friction. Okay, so the guide is pointing out a structural flaw, not just like a bad Tuesday at the office.
Exactly.
And just hearing someone you deeply respect look at your situation and tell you that you don't actually have to stay there, that's incredibly powerful. It functions as permission to leave.
It really does.
Yeah.
We often trap ourselves in bad situations because of a sense of obligation or just pure inertia, right?
Right. Yeah. Constantly.
And sometimes it literally takes an external voice to break that spell.
Right. The first guide provided the external validation he needed to escape a structurally misaligned environment.
And once you take that physical step, once you actually leave a place that crushes your ideals, it inevitably alters your mental landscape.
It frees up all that cognitive load.
Exactly. Changing where you place yourself physically opens the door to changing how you process the world cognitively. And that leads directly into the dynamic the author shares with his second guide.
Yeah, so the physical escape creates the mental space for the next stage of growth. Which brings us to the second guide, a man named Xu Binyi.
Shubini.
Yeah. And what's immediately striking here is the dynamic, because we move from an authority figure, a college principal, to a peer.
Right. Shubini is described as a close friend of the author.
A close friend. And he was a young guy, just over 30, but he was already leading this large geophysical exploration team.
It's impressive.
It really forces you to reevaluate the people you grab coffee with. Like your most profound guides might be sitting across from you right now, and they completely lack silver hair or decades of grizzled experience.
Yeah, wisdom doesn't always come with age. What's fascinating here is how the text highlights Shubini's uniquely unconventional mindset.
He saw things differently.
He possessed this rare ability to glimpse a different world within commonly accepted norms. And from their wide-ranging conversations, this specific cognitive framework emerged.
Right, which Sue termed visualized thinking.
Exactly. Visualized thinking.
Now, that term visualized thinking sounds, I don't know, a bit abstract.
It does.
I mean, when you are operating a geophysical exploration team, what does that actually look like in practice? How do you apply a concept like that out in the field?
Well, the literal nature of geophysical exploration actually provides the perfect blueprint for understanding the whole cognitive philosophy.
Okay, but lay it on me.
Think about it. A geophysical team is tasked with finding things that are completely invisible to the naked eye, right?
Right. Subterranean oil reserves, deep mineral deposits, hidden fault lines, that kind of stuff.
Exactly. They can't just look at the surface of the dirt and know what's down there.
No.
So they have to send seismic waves deep underground, collect these incredibly complex abstract data sets, and then mentally reconstruct or visualize the unseen reality beneath the surface.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they map the bedrock by interpreting the echoes.
So they treat the visible surface as just the first layer of information rather than the final truth?
Precisely.
That's a great metaphor. But how does that translate into a mental framework for, everyday life? Give me an example of applying visualized thinking to a normal human decision, like looking at a career track or some societal expectation.
Okay, let's apply it to a standard societal norm. Society often presents this surface reality that says success equates to securing a high-level management title, right?
Oh, absolutely. The corner office.
That's the topsoil. But visualized thinking requires you to bounce a mental seismic wave off that societal norm.
I love that. Bouncing a mental seismic wave.
Right. So when you look beneath the prestige of the title, you visualize the hidden structures supporting it.
Like the chronic stress.
Exactly. The loss of autonomy, the specific types of interpersonal conflicts you'll be forced to mediate every single day.
Yeah, the stuff they don't put in the job description.
Exactly. You stop seeing the job as a shiny title and start seeing it as a complex system of trade-offs. You visualize the bedrock reality of the life you would actually be living.
You stop accepting the brochure at face value and start looking at the blueprints.
That's a great way to put it.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting, because that is a brilliant transition into the third major turning point in the text. because unconventional thinking inevitably forces you to make unconventional, often terrifying choices.
Yes, it does.
We move from these abstract cognitive frameworks into a high-stakes, highly practical career dilemma. And this introduces the third guide, who is the author's current wife.
Right. And the author describes his wife as an ordinary woman, yet one who possesses exceptional foresight.
Exceptional foresight.
Yeah, she becomes the critical guide when he faces a severe test of this newly developed visualized thinking.
And the dilemma is something so many of you listening will find deeply resonant. So the author's workplace leader is urging him to stay at his current job.
Right.
Because of the author's strong background in mechanical engineering, the leader heavily implies that the author is in line to succeed him as the head of a mechanical processing plant.
Which is the ultimate safe bet.
Oh, it's the dream for most people. It's a guaranteed promotion, a clear trajectory, increased status, financial security. I mean, it is the definition of a successful, conventional career path.
It completely satisfies every basic survival instinct and societal expectation we hold regarding professional advancement.
Right, but the alternative is a complete plunge into the unknown. The alternative is to reject the guaranteed promotion, leave the mechanical engineering field entirely, and travel abroad to work as an interpreter.
Which is wild.
Think about the sheer anxiety of that choice. Walking away from a sure thing to embrace a giant question mark is paralyzing.
Truly.
So the author brings this agonizing decision to his wife, and she delivers advice that absolutely shatters the conventional framework.
She doesn't hold back?
She tells him, a true man's ambition should reach far beyond his current circumstances. Don't just focus on immediate benefits.
Notice how she doesn't engage with the pros and cons of the salary or the specific managerial duties.
Right, she ignores all that.
She bypasses the mundane details completely and addresses the overarching philosophy of his life.
Yeah, she warns him that even if he stays and becomes the plant manager, or even if he somehow climbs all the way to becoming a provincial governor,
He will still just be a cog in the machine.
a cog in the machine. And she tells him, unequivocally, go abroad.
Boom!
It really makes me think about the way we view progress. It's as if the author was agonizing over how quickly he could climb this one very specific ladder, right?
Right.
And his wife tapped him on the shoulder, pointed out that the ladder was leaning against the wrong building entirely, and told him he shouldn't be on a ladder at all. He should be out exploring an open map.
Oh, that analogy captures the essence of her guidance perfectly.
The open map versus the ladder.
By deploying the phrase, a cog in the machine, she dismantled the illusion that climbing higher in that specific hierarchy equated to true freedom or meaning.
Yeah, because a bigger gear is still a gear.
Exactly. She illuminated the fact that the largest gear in a factory is still entirely captive to the mechanical system it serves. She fundamentally shifted his metric of success.
Wow.
It was no longer about achieving professional status within a closed system. It was about the limitless pursuit of personal and spiritual expansion.
And the subsequent ripple effect of that single conversation is staggering. I mean, choosing the open map over the ladder completely rewired his existence.
This changed everything.
The text details how stepping off that mechanical engineering conveyor belt and going abroad allowed him to experience foreign cultures directly.
Right?
He began studying the Bible in church and actively witnessing the daily lives of Christians. And the author states explicitly that these specific experiences laid the vital foundation for what would eventually become the birth of his community, Lifechanyuan.
We really have to unpack the mechanism behind that ripple effect, though.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because why did working as an interpreter abroad lead to founding a spiritual community?
It seems like a jump.
It does. But stepping out of a highly structured mechanical career environment in his home country removed the rigid cultural filters he'd always operated under.
Right.
Immersing himself in foreign cultures and studying different religious frameworks like Christianity allowed him to apply that visualized thinking on a macro level.
Oh, okay.
He began to see the underlying spiritual and philosophical structures that govern human behavior, rather than just the mechanical laws of physics he was trained in.
He started reading the blueprints of human spirituality instead of the blueprints for a processing plant.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the author's overarching philosophy on gratitude and why a life without these guides is so dangerous.
This is a crucial part of the text.
He argues that without the wisdom of mentors, we are left to grope blindly through existence. And he uses two highly evocative analogies from Chinese culture to describe this feeling of desperate confusion.
They're great analogies.
Yeah, he compares a guideless life to being trapped in the spider's web cave, or being like the character Shisun desperately trying to decipher the secrets of the dragon saber.
Both of those references deal heavily with the pain of unfulfilled potential and deep entanglement.
Unpack those for us.
Sure. The spider's web cave is a famous scenario from the classic epic Journey to the West.
Okay.
It symbolizes being completely ensnared by worldly desires, sticky illusions, and the confusing, trapping nature of daily survival. You're caught in a web you cannot see clearly enough to cut yourself out of.
That sounds terrifying. And the reference to Shi-sun adds another layer of tragedy to that feeling, right?
Definitely. Shi-sun is a highly prominent character from classic wuxia martial arts literature.
Right.
He's a tragic, immensely powerful figure who's completely blind. And he obsessively clings to this legendary, powerful weapon, the dragon saber, trying to unlock its profound secrets by touch alone.
Oh.
Yeah, he's isolated, furious, and ultimately frustrated. The emotional resonance the author is tapping into here is the agony of possessing immense potential, or holding a powerful tool, but lacking the vision and the guidance to understand how to actually wield it.
So, to avoid the fate of being entangled in the web or swinging a sword blindly in the dark, the author looks to his guides.
Yeah.
And this leads to his ultimate and frankly most audacious goal. He declares that the only true way to repay his mentors is to surpass them.
This is where it gets heavy.
It does. And the text lists his personal mentors as Jesus, Sakyamuni, Muhammad Laozi, and Mao Zedong.
Quite a list.
Now, before we analyze this, it is absolutely crucial that we establish a firm boundary for our discussion here.
Agreed.
To be absolutely clear for you listening, we are not endorsing the viewpoints, the historical impact, or the political and religious nature of any of these figures, whether left-wing or right-wing.
No, not at all.
We are strictly and impartially reporting the author's own stated list of personal mentors, as provided in the source text, purely to examine his internal philosophy of mentorship.
That neutrality is essential. We are dissecting the psychological framework of the author's ambition here, not validating the historical figures themselves.
Exactly. So keeping that framework in mind, we have to ask a tough question.
What is it?
So what does this all mean? Claiming that you are actively working to surpass monumental, world-changing historical figures sounds incredibly hubristic.
It sounds arrogant.
Yeah. How does that level of immense ambition coexist with the humility required to admit you need a guide in the first place? On the surface, claiming you will surpass Laozi or Jesus sounds like pure arrogance, not gratitude.
It totally appears contradictory until you examine the fundamental purpose of teaching.
Okay, how so?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, think about the ultimate objective of any genuine mentor. A true mentor does not invest their time and wisdom into a student merely to create a stagnant carbon copy of themselves, right?
Sure. Right, they don't want to clone.
Exactly. They do not want a follower who simply memorizes their path and walks in those exact same footprints until the end of time.
Because if the student stops exactly where the master stopped, human progress flatlines.
Precisely. The author's logic is that a mentor can only experience true fulfillment if their disciple takes the imparted wisdom and pushes the boundary further.
Oh, I see.
Therefore, actively striving to surpass the mentor is stripped of its arrogance. Within this specific philosophical framework, striving to go beyond the teacher is the purest manifestation of respect.
Wow, okay.
It proves that the foundation the mentor built was strong enough to support a second story. Surpassing them is the only mathematically sound way to repay the immense energy they invested in you.
That is fascinating. It completely inverts the traditional power dynamic of a student and a teacher.
It does.
It frames mentorship not as a demand for perpetual submission, but as the passing of a baton in a relay race.
Yes.
You honor the previous runner by running faster, not by jogging alongside them.
And this requires the humility to acknowledge that a life devoid of these guides is, as the author explicitly states, a bewildered and sorrowful existence. You cannot build that second story if you refuse to let anyone help you pour the foundation.
That's incredibly profound. Looking back at the entire trajectory of the text today, the progression of how these guides shape a life is remarkably clear.
That's a beautiful arc.
It really is. You begin with an authority figure, a principal, who provides the lighthouse of ideals, giving you the crucial permission to recognize structural misalignment and physically leave an environment that crushes your soul.
Step one.
Then, a peer steps in to rewire your mental landscape, teaching you visualized thinking so you can bounce cognitive seismic waves off societal norms and see the true bedrock of your choices.
Step 2.
Then, at the ultimate crossroads, a partner shatters the illusion of conventional safety, urging you to step off the mechanical ladder and explore the open map.
The big leap.
And all of that localized, everyday guidance culminates in the audacity to synthesize what you've learned and attempt to push humanity forward by surpassing history's greatest teachers.
What makes this text particularly compelling, though, is that the author does not present this as a completed historical journey.
Oh, right. He's not done.
No, he's not standing at the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
The text notes that his reliance on guides is an ongoing active state.
Even now.
Yes, he specifically points to the current celestial members of his community, Lifechanyuan. He credits their daily wisdom, their humor, and their unique perspectives as the vital soil that keeps his own life from becoming barren.
So even as a founder and a leader, he maintains the posture of a student.
Exactly.
He actually uses an exclamation point in the text to declare, "I will always need guides."
It's a powerful statement.
He understands that no matter how far you travel, the forest remains vast, and you will always encounter a new kind of darkness that requires a new perspective.
The necessity of the guide never diminishes. Only the nature of the guidance evolves as the journey progresses.
Which brings us to the ultimate application of everything we have unpacked today.
Let's hear it.
We've spent this deep dive analyzing how to identify guides, how to apply their wisdom, and how to honor them through your own growth.
Right.
But if the author's core philosophy holds true, if the truest mark of an excellent disciple is that they eventually surpass the one who taught them, and if the ultimate goal of human existence is continuous, boundless expansion, it begs a question about your own trajectory.
It certainly does.
As you navigate your career, your relationships, and your personal growth this week, ask yourself, at what point do you stop being solely the bewildered student searching the dark for a mentor and transition into becoming the very guide that someone else is destined to surpass?
That is the most profound responsibility a person can accept.
It truly is. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep looking beyond the topsoil, and we will catch you next time.